Hey guys, in this video I'll be talking about congruence, what it means and how to find if two triangles are congruent. Firstly, two shapes are congruent if they are exactly the same shape and size. Incongruent shapes, corresponding angles are equal and corresponding sides are equal. One way to think about this is if you were to take two shapes and place them on top of each other, they will perfectly match up. You might have to rotate it and flip it. So for example, if I look at these two triangles, if I can place this one on top of the other one so it perfectly matches up, then I'll know that they're congruent. So and you can see there that once I've turned it around and fiddled with it a bit, if I place it over the top of the other triangle, they match up perfectly and they are congruent. Now sometimes this is confused with similarity, which is when one shape is an enlargement of the other. Just like similarity, there are some tests we can use to determine congruence. I actually did a video on similar triangles in which I talk about the tests you can use to see if two triangles are similar, and those tests are close to the test for congruence. So here are the 5 tests for congruence, and there are abbreviations for each test to make it easier to remember. And the first one says if the 3 sides are the same length, the corresponding sides, then we know the triangles are congruent, and we write that as SSS, standing for side, side, side. And remember, they have to be corresponding in order to be equal. So the next one says SAS, and this is if we have a side, then an angle, and then the corresponding side equal, we know that it's congruent. So in this picture we have these two corresponding sides equal, the angle in the middle, and then the other side on the other side equal, then we know those two triangles are congruent. It has to be in that order, the angle has to be in between the two sides. The next one is angle, side, angle. So if we have an angle, two corresponding angles equal, and then the side in between them equal, then we know that those triangles are corresponding. So that stands for angle, side, angle. The next one refers to right angle triangles only, and it says if the hypotenuse and one leg are equal, then the triangles are corresponding. So this stands for hypotenuse leg. And so the hypotenuse and one corresponding leg have to be equal there. And the last test is angle, angle, side, similar to angle, side, angle, but just in a different order. So if you have two corresponding angles equal and then the corresponding side is equal, then you know that the triangles are congruent. Okay, so let's have a look at some examples. The first example here says, this is triangle A. Are triangles B, C, and D congruent to triangle A? So we have to figure out if we can use any of those 5 tests to see if these triangles are congruent. So triangle A here has a side of 8 centimeters and 3 angles. Now already I can eliminate some tests because I only know 3 angles and 1 side. So that means that I can eliminate the side, side, side test, and I can eliminate the side, angle, side test, and I can eliminate the hypotenuse leg test because it's not a right angle triangle. So the 2 tests I might want to use is angle, side, angle, or angle, angle, side. So let's have a look. Here in triangle B, I have the 3 angles the same, but the corresponding side is not equal. This side is 8 centimeters, just like this one, but it needs to be the corresponding side to be congruent. This side here would have to be 8 centimeters, but it's not. Or at least we don't know it is. So we can't say B. So let's say, if you're writing this out in the answer, you'd say B is not congruent or something, but I'm just going to cross them out. Again, with here's triangle C, all the angles are equal. However, the side, again, the corresponding side is not the same. So C is not congruent. Now D, you can see, is flipped over. So the angles are all of the same, but the triangle is just a reflection of triangle A. And yes, the corresponding side is 8 centimeters, so we can say D is congruent. As due to, well, it could either be angle, angle, side, or angle, side, angle. Angle, side, angle. So either of those ones is fine. Okay, so they're the type of questions you're going to be looking at to do with congruence. So the second example here says, which of these triangles are congruent to A? And in A here we're given two angles in the side. And in order to use our rules, probably it's most effective if we fill in this last angle. So we know angles in a triangle add up to 180, so we can say that this last angle must be 45 degrees. So now we have all three angles in the triangle and one side. And if we look at triangle B, it says we have an angle of 145, just like triangle A, and a side of 8 centimeters. And if we filled this side in here, that would be, this angle would be 35 degrees. Let's have a quick look at our rules again. And remember, if we've got an angle, two angles the same, and the side in between them the same, then we have two congruent triangles. So here we have two angles the same, and the side in between them the same. So B must be congruent. C, I have two angles, but the side that's 8 centimeters is not corresponding to the side on triangle A, so C is not congruent. In D, one of the angles is off. So in congruent triangles, we know all angles must be equal, so this can't be congruent. And in E again, E is similar to C in that the side that is equal to A is not corresponding to that 8 centimeter side in triangle A. So E can't be congruent either. So the only triangle there congruent to triangle A is triangle B. Okay, so when you're talking about congruence, you can get questions like this that ask you to identify which triangles are congruent. And you can get questions asking you to explain whether two triangles are congruent. So before I go through these questions, I encourage you to pause the video sometimes and have a go yourself and then go through the solutions with me. But let's go through the answers now. So explain whether or not these pairs of triangles are congruent. And we can see the very first rule of congruence is side, side, side. So if all of the sides are equal, then the triangles must be congruent. So we can say yes, side, side, side. And this one, part B, it gives us two right angle triangles. In the first triangle, we know the hypotenuse is 4 and these two legs are the same length. And in the second one, we don't know the hypotenuse, we know the legs are 2 and 2. We actually have to do some quick calculating to see if what the hypotenuse here is in this second triangle. So if you know Pythagoras' theorem, you can ask yourself you can figure out what the hypotenuse is there. So Pythagoras' theorem says that the two legs squared and added together equals the hypotenuse squared. So 2 squared plus 2 squared equals 4 plus 4 is 8. Now 4 squared is not 8, so we know that this is not going to be 4. This is going to be, well, the square root of 8. So these can't possibly be congruent because the hypotenuse are not equal. However, they are similar because these sides are in the same ratio. but they are not congruent. The last one, we're given an angle and two sides, and for this one we can use the rule angle side, angle, side for congruence. And that's all the examples I'm going to go through in this video. So we talked about what congruence is, we went through the 5 tests for congruence, and then we did a couple of examples. I always encourage you to do some extra practice on your own. I actually did a video yesterday on a problem from one of the exams involving congruence. It was a 4-mark question, and as long as you knew the test for congruence, you got all 4 marks. It was actually the only thing you needed to know to answer the question. So this is a very useful topic as well, and I hope you found this video useful. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.